Hey, at home, thank you for staying tuned. Sean and I, we got our coordination back together, so
think
we
so?
understand.
I'm sorry.
Come on. Yeah,
You keep doing it wrong.
It's all good, though, man.
Let's try it again. I think it's the camera's making
That's
me
it.
nervous.
It's Dave. He's making faces. He's yawning.
Hey, Dave, could you knock it off?
Yeah, really.
Thanks, Dave.
It's like I just want to throw Dave under the bus. But anyway, moving forward, Sean and I, we are joined by our first panel of guests, and we're so excited. They're our friends, first of all, and my man Jay. I've been trying to get a hold of him for a minute. Finally, I feel like we made it because we
Okay.
got him.
Welcome, everyone. We are going to let you guys introduce yourselves. If you don't mind, we'll do the ladies first and then start across the back row, okay?
Okay, I am Stephanie Muhammad.
I'm Charlotte Williams.
I'm Atia Chase.
I am Ibn Muhammad.
Jay Williams.
I am Kenneth Chase.
Okay, well, welcome, you guys.
Yes, indeed. Welcome, family. And I thank you for coming on this evening and sharing your awesome work. And I'm looking forward to finding out more and sharing it with our audience at home.
So why don't you guys give us a quick shot, and I'm going to look at you, I'm sorry. Give us a quick snapshot of keeping marriage fun.
Well, about 3 years ago, me and my wife Stephanie, we started keeping marriage fun in our backyard with 14 couples, 14 or 18 couples, something like that. And it ended up being a success. Everybody came out, we had a lot of fun, a lot of games, we shared, stories. Everything just seemed to flow together. And then the next morning, me and Stephanie, we talked and we started a Facebook page, Keeping Marriage Fun, and it's just been booming ever since.
So take us back a little bit. So, because what put it on your heart to invite 14 couples to your house for Keeping Marriage Fun?
Great question. In all honesty, marriage just wasn't going good at the time.
Okay.
We were at the divorce table, and we had to make a decision, to stay in that lane or to beat the odds. And to be honest, my parents have been married, both of them. They've been married and divorced 3 times, and that was just something that I no longer wanted to be a part of. And so we decided to go ahead and make it work and surround ourselves with other positive couples that come to find out we're going through some of the same issues and just needed some support. And ever since then, it's just been a growing family.
Okay.
I-
Do you want to finish?
Oh no.
Okay.
I was just reflecting on our conversation, and I know you guys had an event in November. I don't know if we want to talk about that and work forward from there.
Sure, that's good.
So tell us, you just had an event in
Stephanie,
November.
yeah, he tapped you. Tag.
Yeah.
November 7th, we had our first annual Keeping Marriage Fun ball. It was a masquerade ball. It was so much fun. I think it was 37 couples this time that came out. We had it at the Embassy Suites, and we had music and dancers and a comedian, DJ and photo booth. It was just so much fun. We had a good time. So we came out and we were like red carpet ready.
Oh, great.
We were sharp with our masks on. So we had lots of fun. We're looking forward to doing it annually, a different theme each year, and hopefully a different spot to meet all the other couples, because it's not just Delaware based. We have couples all over.
Wow.
So were you 2 couples part of the original backyard meeting?
I believe we were. We didn't really know what we were going for, but we went there and we enjoyed it. So, it was just a time of connecting with other couples and seeing, how things work in other people's marriages and, using it as a barometer for yours, because you feed off of other people's marriages,
Right.
Especially when you're telling your story. So it was a good time, and we just learned and we shared about each other.
I have to admit, this really does fascinate me, because I'm like,
Yeah.
how do you go from we're on the divorce lane to I need to talk to 14 other couples?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
right,
how do you do
right.
how do you do
Strength
that
in
in a
numbers.
really tense time?
Yeah.
Say let's invite others in and see what can happen.
Well, you know what? We kind of figured it has to be better than this. Like there has to be some fun involved in, you know, in your marriage. There has to be some fun involved. So we decided we were going to have some fun, you know, and hopefully it'll help us.
Right.
So that's what we did. When we knew other couples that were kind of going through the same thing, so we're like, maybe if we all can get together and we can kind of bounce ideas off of each other, how we can make this work.
Right.
So that's kind of how.
Okay, that does make sense. It really does. You really have to have friends that you trust,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and then grow to. You said you have 37 couples now.
No. We had 37 couples at our ball.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
But we have over 600
Are you
members
serious?
in our group.
Wow.
And they're all across the United States, and some are overseas as well.
That is awesome. And now, myself being single, but at the same time, you know, nothing does my heart better when I see a couple that is supporting each other, you know, and knowing you guys and knowing some of the things that, you know, you've gone through and seeing that strength, I think is a worthy reward that you would have access to an environment where you guys can have some fun too. You know, because I mean, everybody always stresses that it's work, it's, you know, this, that, and the other, but there's a balance, you know, I would think.
Amen.
I mean, I wouldn't find it too attractive if you know.
It's a balance.
Do you want to tell us about some of the events that the organization has had?
Some of the events that we've done, we've hosted different game nights. Like Jay and myself, we came into KMF through our friend Atia and Kenneth. And we were like, oh, it'll be nice to meet other couples and, you know, just get to know some more married couples.
I hate to cut you off. I'm going to find out why you're cracking up in a second. So keep your thought, okay? All right, go ahead.
I'm just going to say that's my husband. But we just decided, you know, let's have a game night. Let's, you know, invite some other couples. Atia and her husband came, Stephanie and Evan came, and also some other couples. So we've had game nights. We've had bowling tournaments. Where there's a trophy that has gone around to other couples.
Oh, that's cool.
And we do, well, we call it shut it down movie nights, where we kind of go to the movies. But there's so many of us in volume that literally, when we went to the IMAX, we took up the back 2 rows of the back 2 or 3
Yo,
rows
shut it
of,
down.
like what was it, Best Man Holiday or something like that. I mean, everybody came, you know, in the area. We had dinner, and anytime we get together, there's always some type of round table, because the struggles that me and my husband are going through are pretty much very similar to the struggles maybe Atia and her husband are going through, or Stephanie and Ibn, or maybe some of the other couples in the group. So it's just nice to kind of have that platform, that forum of, hey, look, this is what's going on in our marriage. And somebody might say, well, we've been through this, this is how we got through it. And it just kind of gives you a nice, you know, comfort zone that you're not in this alone.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there are people who are there to support. And we all have that same mission of, we got married for better, for worse.
Right.
And it's great going through the better, but it's really hard going through that worse, and you kind of need that support system to get you through that worst.
Right.
So.
She took it home, didn't she? She took it home. So Jay, man.
What were you laughing at?
Yeah.
Man, yeah. Ooh, okay. I was laughing because that was the first KMF event that we hosted at our house.
Right.
And it was just different, to say it, you know, realistically. It's the first time I've ever been around a bunch of like-minded young black people
Right. Right.
with no drama.
Right. Right.
And it was just a bunch of laughing and joking. And I think our hashtag started that night. We had a bunch of hashtags going on that night. Official wingmaker, and it like the connection, it was like an instant connection. And like, I wouldn't even say friendship started, but families got extended that night.
Yeah.
Where it was like, you know, first time at the house, I got Ibn and sat on the couch. Next thing I know, you sleep. All right, cool. I'm all right with that. You know what I mean?
Right,
Ain't no
right,
big thing.
right.
It works. Like,
Absolutely.
you know, so it was just different for me in an environment coming from broken home.
Sure.
To see a bunch of like-minded people who are like, divorce is not an option for me. I refuse to fail at my marriage.
Right.
You know, and for those people who say that young black people can't stay married,
Yeah.
and we don't know what it takes to be married, to see people my age who are like, psh, I'm gonna beat the odds. It was just, it was a comforting thing.
Sure, and you know, I can almost just feel what the coming together was like, because I never will forget the first time I was invited over Jay's house, you know, after work, and man, I felt like we grew up together. Now I'm older than Jay, but the welcoming from him and Charlotte was just amazing, and so to just extend that to your fellow couples, you know, I think that's wonderful, and I know that everybody else provides the same type of welcoming atmosphere, you know. And at home, I know you're watching this tonight. If you have your own marriages, I'm sure you can get in touch with our wonderful panel and expand their circle even more, or pass this information on to your younger couples that you may have.
So do you guys get into advice giving, or is that not? Oh yes, okay. All right, who wants to talk about that?
Amen.
I guess I'll go with that. One of the things that we do, like somebody will post a question on Facebook, and you know, usually you'll post something on Facebook, you might have 4 or 5 responses. After a while, you'll look at it and it's like hundreds of responses.
Okay.
And it's interesting because you'll have a question and you'll just see people's points, you know, on it. And even if it doesn't change your mind on the way you feel about the situation, what it does is it actually opens up your mind on how other people feel.
Right.
So, like I said, one person will post a question, and you know it's going to go long and long and long. You'll look at it. You'll be at work. Somebody will post a question. You know, you'll send your response, and then you'll go back to doing what you're doing. Then you'll come back, and it'll be like an hour, and there's like 70 responses on it. You know, so one of the biggest things, like I said, it just definitely opens up your mind. And like I said before, people go through different things. People have their good times. People have their bad times. Every question that's on there is always not a good question. You know, it's not a bad question.
Right.
Sometimes it's just a question, like a funny question. You know, something like that. And we talk about a range of things.
Right.
You know, and the biggest thing is just, like I said, just to see how other people view, how other people grew up, how other people, you know, how people marriages work. You know, you'll find out, you know, some households, you know, the husband cooks. Some households, you know, they share, you know, different things.
Right.
People run their households so many different ways, and what we found out is that it works. Your marriage works for what works for you, because what works for her and might not work for Jay and Charla, might not work for Ibn and Stephanie. We may be the same, we may be different. It just, you know, it's just what actually works for you. So every marriage is different. Every marriage goes through different things. And there's always common things that you go through. There's always common things that, you know, issues, but in there's situations with, you know, how do you handle, since you married, you know, you married into their family. How do you handle their family?
Yeah.
You know, how do you handle now that, you know, you have a kid and it's not just you, you know, and so we have one. There's people who have more, you know, have more kids than we do. And so we'll look at some of their stories and it's just like, wow, do we really want to have more kids? Seriously, you know. And so we think about stuff like that, you know. This morning, our daughter got up, what was it, like 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock this morning? You know, we're both asleep. And here she comes in the room and stuff like that. And it's little funny like situations. And like now that she's up, and it's like, oh, well, if we have more kids, this might happen more often. You know, how do we deal with this? How do you juggle, you know, work and still dating your wife? You know, so, you know, it's so many different things. But
We are going to go to a break, but I want to come back to a couple of points. One is going to be dating your spouse.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the other is going to be, we got a few details about like some of the topics that you guys talk about. I'd like to get more of those topics, just, you know, to kind of put it out there for people who are watching to see what kind of things you talk about in your meetings. And then we'll talk about the frequency of your meetings too. Okay?
Absolutely.
So we'll be right back. We're going to go to a quick break. We're going to ask you at home to stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment.